They've got Gasser on him right now, but they've kept a fresh body on him, and they've tried to make his shots come difficult. He's a drop-step power. He's averaging 10 free throws per game, so he's a guy that's going to get to the basket and get high-percentage shot attempts.
Denman to Brockman along the baseline, converts. Washington continues the run. Meantime, Loyola Marymount suddenly only 5 of 12 from the floor. Huskies run down 9 points. Offensive foul is called again on Jones. That's 2. Last time down the floor.
You're watching the Huskies in transition, and Brockman again just figuring out where he might have thought that pass was going to come. Makes himself available, squares up, and there's not a lot of wasted motion. You watch a lot of big men in transitional situations. You can tell that John Brockman's very comfortable in catching and finishing.
Huskies off the foul against the Lions in the half court. Hans Gasser drains it from 3. Hans Gasser was a tremendous player in the Kingco League in suburban Seattle, scored in double digits in 56 consecutive games to conclude his career at Issaquah High School, and he adds to Loyola Marymount's miseries. Washington now on a 12-point run.
Well, Gasser probably the biggest beneficiary of Mike Jensen not being available probably until mid-December. His number's been called, and he stepped in, and he's a guy that really didn't get a lot of playing time. As you see Mike Jensen, he should be back with that shoulder injury in mid-December. But, you know, Gasser's really taking advantage of the opportunity, getting those minutes and rebounding and hitting open shots.
Dentman, nice pass inside. Williams can't convert. Now the battle with Dustin Brown for the basketball, and Brown wins it. John Montgomery brings it up for Loyola Marymount. Inside tonight, the pass stolen by Jones. Another no-look pass. This time, Williams delivers on the service. It is a 16-point Washington lead.
And it's all starting from their defense. The Washington defense, very opportunistic, pressuring the ball, denying leads. They've tipped or stolen 3 or 4 of those attempted pass in the post feeds.
Jones will go to the free throw line. Let's take a look at his handiwork last time.
Again, you anticipate the fast break, you run the floor, you get yourself open. And when you have that numerical advantage, the operative word is attack the basket. Get that ball as close to the basket as you can.
He has 7 points. Mentioned before tip-off that he scored 21 points in a victory at Loyola Marymount a season ago. That was a tight game. The Lions reserves outscored Washington's bench. That turned out to be a 7-point game.
Yeah, that game took on that NBA flavor. It's 100-93.
That's right.
A lot of defense.
Joel Smith replaces Jones after the pair of made free throws. Pressure.
Loyola Marymount now cannot lose their poise. Each possession now becomes critical. You're not going to get back in this ball game, you know, on one possession. So you've got to take care of the basketball, run your offense, set good screens, and get a high percentage shot so you can get back defensively. 6
turnovers by the Lions, fueling a 14-point Washington run. Huskies are in control mid-first half on the Montlake Cup. It was 14-10 Washington, and then the Huskies got off. And over the last 4.5 minutes have established a commanding lead. John Brockman on the bench. Bobby Jones also on the bench. People forget that he was Romar's first recruit after Lorenzo arrived here.
And highly skilled at both ends. You know, he's probably their best perimeter defender, drawing that toughest assignment. But, you know, he's showing his versatility, scoring on the inside and then stepping out to that three-point line and shooting that ball with a great deal of confidence.
Appleby out defending Montgomery. Jamal Williams, the only starter on the floor for Washington right now, off the ball. Foul is called against Loyola Marymount.
Well, you know, in an effort to really settle down and run your half-court offense, you know you've got to set good screens, but you don't need any more turnovers, and you don't need any more empty possessions.
Gasser again. That's just cold-blooded.
You know, it comes in streaks, and when you have players that are playing with great confidence, as you could just see throughout this entire Husky team, you've had 5 wins. You're coming off of a dream season. You believe in the system. This is what happens in programs when you really get it on a roll.
Washington defense forcing Loyola Marymount to adjust. Another dangerous pass. This time Brown is short after getting off the shot.
See, the good news when you don't turn the ball over is you have an opportunity to at least get your defense back and get it set. When you turn the ball over, you allow Washington to get in transition. Now they have a chance to get a much higher percentage shot.
Haywood underneath, you count that. And John Haywood will go to the line for Loyola Marymount. Haywood, a senior out of Chino, California. Rodney Tension also gives his starters a rest. Appleby called for the foul. Check that, Gasser assessed the personal, his first 15 foul against the UW.
Yeah, Haywood broke his hand his sophomore year and only played in 11 games, but last year he played in 28 games and started in 18. So although his role has changed with the change in the coaching staff, you know, you're bringing in a player who has a great deal of experience.
Roy is called for the travel. He wanted the reach-in foul assessed to Pegram. It's going to go the other way. Lorenzo Romar has watched his defense bother Loyola Marymount into 2 of 7 shooting from the floor after a 5 of 8 start.
Well, Jamal Williams talked to us before about some of the key areas of their defense, and Washington feels if they can pressure the ball every trip down the floor and pressure every shot, that they have a chance to dictate tempo to your offense. And they've been very successful so far against Loyola Marymount, really applying good hard ball pressure and denying one pass away. When it's difficult to get into your offense, you start to press, you start to rush. And that can create some ill-advised passing or shooting decisions.
Exhibit A, Your Honor. Denton for Smith is whacked by Brown underneath. Joel Smith, the sophomore out of Longpauc, California, will go to the free throw line for a pair.
You see the transition basket right there. And that's not a bad foul. It's not certainly a foul that's going to hurt anybody. You'd rather your defense really take some command inside and let Washington know that, okay, you're beating us in transition, but we're not going to give you any easy baskets.
Smith now 7 of 9 from the stripe here, 5+ games into the season. Romar with the 17-point advantage, able to work his guys in. He's able to use his entire roster, those that are healthy and available.
And that will really pay dividends as you get into or get closer to, you know, Pac-10 competition. You know, there's been a lot of things said about the schedule that Washington's playing, and perhaps it's on the soft side, but when you bring in a group of freshmen, one of the ideal things is to give them playing time, to give them experience. You can't create the speed and the pace at which this game is being played in practice. So when you bring in freshmen, you want them to get experience, you want them to gain in confidence, and when you can play a schedule like this and put some opponents away and give your freshmen an opportunity to play 5, 6, 8 minutes and a half, it will be invaluable come Pac-10 season.
Dustin Brown just bumped John Brockman for his 3rd personal foul. That's a guy that Rodney Tension does not want to lose from his lineup. Brown is 4th on the LMU score sheet, but he sits now with 3 midway through the first half. Roy has the ball tipped away by Worthy. Denton gets it back in the scramble. No harm, no foul, they say. I thought that was just the Big Ten.
No foul, no harm.
Well,
no harm.
Brockman gets called for the foul, his 2nd.
Just another illustration of Brockman's toughness. You know, you start comparing, and we all like to do this in sports, you start comparing players to other players, and you watch Brockman play. He really reminds me of a young Dave Cowens, you know, with his ability to get on the floor.
Look at this, Roy. 10 turnovers now for Loyola Marymount, and Washington is making the Lions pay. This is the Huskies' biggest lead at 20 points.
And that's not a very smart play when things aren't going your way off one pass to take a long shot. And that shot is going to be available later in the possession. And again, that's certainly some of the things that Loyola Marymount, they're going to have to learn.
Look at a feed from Smith.
Great pass, and then what body control and strength. When you get in the air like that and you anticipate contact, you can't break your concentration. You have to think score first.
Roy with 4 points on 2 of 3 shooting. He has had a lot of help. The Huskies shooting 65%, 13 of 20, and they are perfect from the free throw line. 7 of 7 pending Roy's second. Make it 8 of 8.
Because you talk about Roy's changing role with this team as opposed to last year's team. You know, he's playing approximately the same minutes. They are blowing a lot of teams out, and so he's around that 25, 26 a minute per game mark. But he's shooting the ball more. He averaged 9 shots per game last year, and this year so far he's averaging about 12. A number that I'm sure when they play tougher ball games and they get into that Pac-10 season, that will go up.
Miller misses the shot. Knight and Williams battle for the rebound. Foul is called on Jamal Williams. Matthew Knight will go to the free throw line. Rodney Tension trying to figure out his next move. Let's take a look at Matthew Knight. You talked about his value to this team, this junior out of Burnie, Tasmania, which is in Australia, a guy who plays on the national team, in the national team system. Misses the front end. Both sides now in the bonus. Huskies, look at the three-point shoot. Roy is 3 of 4 from the floor. He has 8 points, and Washington on another run, 8 points.
You know, Roy is not the kind of player, because of the role that he's had to play over the last 3 years, that looks for his shot first. And he does a nice job of just letting the offense come to him. He just takes his time.
Haywood, good rotation by the Lions. Settled down a little bit that time and took what was given them by Washington's defense.
You know, if you're Loyola Marymount and you're obviously right now being overmatched and outclassed, each offensive possession becomes one that you've got to learn and trust in your system. Run it deep into the shot clock. Don't be satisfied with the first initial shot, but wait until you get a higher percentage shot. And you start knocking those down where your overall team confidence can then grow. You have a chance to make a little run of your own and you know, play with a lot more confidence.
Dedman will shoot a pair, fouled by Knight. Tonight on FSN Live, we'll wrap up all the action from this game, plus highlights from the UW volleyball game. FSN Live tonight at 10 only on FSN. Jim McLaughlin, the head volleyball coach here at the UW, will be among our guests at halftime. They've got the Apple Cup volleyball match tonight, Washington State in the house, and that's a game that you will also see here on FSN Northwest. Appleby makes a bid, can't quite finish it. Haywood recovers, Worthy inside, tipped by Roy, but a foul is called. Brandon Roy is called for the personal. We will pause. Washington very much in control at the B of A.
It's great stuff. I mean, I don't know how much we're going to need to maybe save for the second half.
Yeah, well, but you know what? He may sit a lot of the second half, too. Let's burn him. And
okay.
What's different about...
I just...
Oh, sorry.
I just keep envisioning as being as much as a leader as possible. You know, if we're playing in some games where it's tougher, you know, make sure I'm more vocal, make sure I'm helping prepare guys, you know, to play in even harder games. And I just want to make sure I'm a leader and just be vocal and just be able to be the provider for this team.
Right on.
Is that Detlef Shrimp?
Yes, it is. He's actually right over your right shoulder behind the camera.
Did he kick my butt a few times?
Did he really?
Oh. He played in that triple overtime game that I was telling you about.
Detlef Shrimp played for Coach Marv Harshman here at the University of Washington in the middle 80s. Went on to a terrific career in the National Basketball Association. He's in the house, and a couple of Detlef Shrimp memories up there. Now, Brandon Roy is trying to sort of follow in Detlef's footsteps, talking about the transition and his role this year with all the changes on the Huskies team.
I just keep envisioning as being as much as a leader as possible. You know, if we're playing in some games where it's tougher, you know, make sure I'm more vocal, make sure I'm helping prepare guys, you know, to play in even harder games. And I just want to make sure I'm a leader and just be vocal and just be able to be the provider for this team.
And Brandon Roy, and talking to him today, you know, one of the things that I thought was very interesting when we asked him that question, he said, you know, I feel a responsibility to the guys that are going to follow me here, that they understand how we play basketball here at Washington. And so although this is my senior year and I'm certainly out to do the best I can to help our team win, it's a part of my responsibility to make sure that these kids understand that they're inheriting a great program.
Imagine what things would be like around here had Roy stayed in the NBA draft, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. Worthy hits his free throws. Washington has still better than doubled Loyola Marymount. Roy, rebound tonight, throws it away. He was going down, actually did the right thing, tried to tip it to Brandon Worthy, but Worthy was not ready.
And I like what Loyola Marymount did that possession. They score, they get in a press to kind of slow the transition game of Washington down. And what you want to do in that press, you don't necessarily get steals, but maybe you get Washington to shoot quickly. Roy missed that shot, and that's where Loyola Marymount's got to take advantage of those misses. They've got to rebound the ball, give themselves another opportunity. They have to get stops, and that's going to help, again, help their confidence in this game.
Lions have been stopping themselves in double digits in turnovers. Roy, the putback for Artem Wallace, the freshman out of Toledo, Washington. Take a look at the turnover numbers. Washington has also bothered Loyola Marymount at a 44% shooting.
And you can attribute over half of those turnovers to great pressure defense. And that also has led to that mental fatigue where Loyola Marymount has just thrown some errant passes and taken some shots too quickly that they shouldn't have taken.
Maybe like that one by Miller?
You've just got to be patient and make sure. You don't want to tell your players not to shoot, certainly in this situation. But don't shoot so it surprises everybody else on the team and you're slow in defensive transition.
Wes Wardrop did a nice job of getting back down the floor and setting his feet and drawing the offensive foul call against Artem Wallace.
Wardrop, tremendous outside shooter and really gets a lot of credit for his ability to play offensive end, but he came in and as a freshman, and that was one of the things that the coaching staff at that point in time talked about, that as a freshman he was very much ahead of where most freshmen were defensively.
West Coast Conference Player of the Week, had 19 points and a couple of big threes in a road victory at Brigham Young that opened Rodney Tension's tenure as head coach of the Lions. Wardrop bounces it off of Smith, but Smith recovers and scores.
But Wardrop really got caught that time right near the half-court line, so he couldn't go back court, and he got trapped. They hit him with a quick trap. He tried to bounce it off one of the defender's legs, but unfortunately went right to him.
Look at that, points off of turnovers, unbelievable. Pegram with the basket for the Lions.
The good basketball teams make you pay if you shoot it quick or you throw bad passes, because they're going to get the ball, and that just feeds right into the up-tempo style of play that Washington wants to play.
Appleby works out of the trap. Jones squares up. He's short. Knight with the rebound. Looking inside for Derich. Double dribble is called. Washington ball. That is 14 turnovers now for Loyola Marymount. Marco Derich, a freshman, another Australian out of the city of Perth. You're in a game like this. How hard is it as a coach to keep your players interested?
Well, you know, you bring them over during the timeouts and you tell them to look at the score and you say, look, you know, there's two ways we can go here. Either we can just get embarrassed out of the gym. We could start to play with, you know, some pride and some hustle and some character. And, hey, we're not going to win this game in one possession. We're not going to win it, you know, in 1 4-minute period. But let's make a better accounting of ourselves. Let's get our knees bent. Let's get out here and do the things that we've worked so hard in practice. Let's play better as a team on that offensive end. Let's share the ball. Let's run our offense. Let's do those things that we've done over the past 2 games that have given us some success so we can get better as a team.
Smith reads the pass. Wardrop with the body but can't stop him. Smith takes it all the way to the rack and scores. He has 6 points. And Washington is making a strong bid for the century.
Again, everything starts with that pressure defense, and Joel Smith, Johnny on the spot, just anticipating that pressured pass, jumps in the passing lane and does exactly what you're supposed to do when you're transferring or translating that defense to offense, is push the ball toward the basket, attack the basket, and look to score.
Washington, meantime, has turned the ball over only 4 times, 15 now for better than 20 points. Committed by the Lions. Rodney Tension, a guy who you come in, you know this team finished 11-17 a season ago. Loyola Marymount actually picked to finish 4th in the West Coast Conference this season, but it does not happen overnight.
It doesn't, and one of the things that we talked to Coach Tension about yesterday at his practice was, of course, being patient. And he said, you know, he lost sight of that because he wants these kids. He said that he's got a good group of guys. They listen. They've responded to what he's had to say. They work hard in practice. He said, but they've really got to understand that you've got to come to play every day. And the system works. At Arizona, it's been proven. And once they understand it and they really start to trust in it, you'll see them play a lot better. But they've just run into a buzzsaw here today. And, you know, what can you say about Washington?
Huskies with a rare mistake, their 5th turnover. Ryan Appleby came in and hit a couple of threes early on. Now working on Montgomery up the floor. Washington will not play for 9 days. Here's Knight with trouble, tries to bat it to Pegram, intercepted. Jones on the run out, looking for the trailer. Smith. Roy cleans it up and fires inside to Smith, and this time it goes down.
What a great example, Brandon Roy, of unselfish play.
8 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists.
He intercepts that ball, and he's got a really, he's got a wide open look at a 3, and he just backs it up and he patiently waits for Smith to get open and pass him the ball.
Basket will count. The foul is called against Loyola Marymount. Montgomery got the shot off and then charged his man, so he gets credit for the deuce, but the ball will come the other way.
You know, one of the rules that they're using in some of the tournaments, that experimental rule where they have that 3-foot arc underneath the basket, is a rule that I really like, because I think, one, anything that can help the officials call what I believe is one of the toughest calls in sports, the charge block, anything that gives them a physical reminder. If your feet are outside and you're stationary, you take the charge, you take a hit, it's a charge. I like that, and there was an example where I think that rule would, or at least where that arc is going to be drawn, will really be a benefit to college basketball.
Brandon Roy 3 of 3 off the line through the first 5 games. He was a 72% free throw shooter. Senior out of Garfield High School in Seattle, leading Washington with a 16.5-point scoring average. Huskies now 12 of 12 on charity. Roy has made their last 4.
That's another one of those areas where Coach Romar has talked a lot about Roy improving. Montgomery trying to lob the ball over the pressure defense. It's a good idea, but it just needs to be executed. He and those bigs have to be on the same page.
Artem Wallace travel. 18 turnovers by Loyola Marymount, leading to 24 Washington points. Huskies big late first half in Seattle. Friends at Macy's threw the nice parade yesterday.
Oh, you see the pressure defense that time, and Montgomery has the right idea. He tries to lob the pass over Artem Wallace because the Washington defense is playing up so high, but it was great rotation defense on that backside. And to relieve pressure, you've got to send players back door, but you just have to eye-to-eye contact and make sure that you and that big are on the same page so he reacts and that pass doesn't get intercepted.
Make it 19 turnovers now. I'll tell you what, LMU has played with the right idea, but as Wallace finishes, Larry Farmer, I also suggest to you that the speed of the Pac-10 game has caught them a little bit flat so far.
It hasn't in Washington, playing with so much confidence, and they're so much more relaxed here at home. But early in the game, again, I thought it was great. At least it was a great game plan to come down and look to get the ball inside to Matthew Knight. They were patient early on, and throughout that first 4 minutes, they hung in there. But you can't turn the ball over on the road. You just can't turn it over into easy scoring opportunities.
Roy off the scramble. Suddenly he's got 12 points. Wardrop fired up that 3. LMU is 0 for 4 beyond the arc. 1 for 5 as Wardrop finally takes the seal off the basket.
And that was very good offensive execution. Very good screen set on the backside. Nice snap on the pass.
Artem Wallace just out-muscled Pegram to the rack.
But they really love his upside. Artem Wallace comes in here. They love the way he rebounds the ball. They said he's tenacious. He's got a nose for the ball. And he just works and he wants to learn.
Pegram is long. Knight beaten to the rebound. Here comes Washington again. Dentman. Knight leads all contestants with 7 rebounds, but that's 20 turnovers against LMU.
Well, you see the dribble penetration that time, and Artem Wallace, when you can create penetration from that point guard position and you're a big man, you want to do two things. Get your hands above your waist, so if the little guy who penetrates shoots it, you're in a position to quickly offensive rebound the ball. But you also want to get those hands up and get open, because if he dishes it off, you've got a great look at an easy bunting.
You know, Romar made them run the mile as camp began. He ran a 5:05 mile, Wallace.
The fastest on the team. And
pretty good for a big guy.
You usually don't find big guys like to run a mile. Well, they can. Yeah. It's odd when they run it fast.
Miller brings it up for the Lions. Wardrop and Zuri miscommunicate. Rodney Tension, I think, has used every player available to him, and Lorenzo Romar will certainly get that chance before the day is out.
Yeah, again, and you made the point, Brian, about you like what Loyola Marymount is trying to do. They're just not quite getting it done, and that was a perfect example. You know, Zuri's running a route, much like in football. You've got to complete your route. You come off a double screen, you keep coming until you catch the ball. You can't break that off. And in contrast, your West Wardrop, you can't anticipate where you think the offensive player is going to go.
Well, Appleby answers Miller's three-point goal with his second of the day. Ryan Appleby, the sophomore out of Stanwood, Washington, north of Seattle, transferred to the U from the University of Florida. Wardrop is short. Rebound is tipped to him. Miller again and misses. Derich loses the battle to a couple of shorter players. Burmeister, Brandon Burmeister, the walk-on from Mercer Island, Washington. Appleby with the finish at the other end, and this is just cruel. .22 turnovers. Washington is shooting 62%.
Yeah, Appleby comes down the floor and just kind of lulls the defender to sleep. Not really quicking the shot up, but just shooting it with such depth of range that Evans Miller really didn't have a chance to get out and contest the shot.
Huskies call timeout with 30 25 seconds and change on the clock. Washington 7 of 12 from 3. 14 rebounds, 14 assists on 23 made baskets. This week it's a Fox NFL doubleheader beginning with the 49ers battling the Titans. Then the Giants pay a call on Quest Field in Seattle, challenging Sean Alexander and the Seahawks in a potential playoff preview. It all begins Sunday, 9 a.m. on Fox. Ryan Davis and Larry Farmer at Bank of America Arena in Seattle. Interesting. Rodney Tension, Loyola Marymount's coach, wanted to weather the storm, kind of threw the first TV timeout 4 minutes in. Well, they were down 6 at that point, and then the wheels popped off like a poorly made car.
And largely because during that first 4-minute stretch, Loyola Marymount took better care of the basketball. They weren't turning it over. They tried to take advantage of Matthew Knight inside, and I thought they got higher percentage shots from the outside, didn't shoot it quickly. But again, you know, Washington, a very opportunistic team. They love to play up tempo.
Appleby got a little tip drill going, out of bounds. Doesn't matter. Time expires, and for the Lions of Loyola Marymount, that is merciful, because 20 minutes into this ball game, Washington has better than doubled Loyola Marymount. Huskies with a 65-31 lead at halftime. Loyola Marymount came to Seattle hoping to weather the early storm, and they did, but then things went south for the Lions in a big way. They wound up committing a near game record, 22 turnovers in the first half, and Washington with a huge lead. This is Brandon Roy's team, and the Huskies have played like it, Larry Farmer, in the first half.
But Brandon Roy not being as assertive as maybe he's going to be later on in the year, just really took charge during that one possession, just dishing the ball and making sure that he got everybody available, as he did there with Appleby. Appleby is a catch and shoot player, but here you see him just taking that shot because of the distance. He's feeling it, he's in rhythm because of the distance. He just pulls up and shoots that three.
3 3-pointers for Appleby, and then there's Bobby Jones, who made some statements early on.
But showing his versatility, his ability to step out and make plays, and also to make plays around the basket. You know, the Huskies certainly have it going on all cylinders, shooting 61% from the floor.
The story in this game, however, is turnovers. Loyola Marymount with 22. The school record is 25. That dates to 1994. And Washington with 26 points off of those turnovers.
You look at the rebounding stats, and 15 to 14. So that's got to be pleasing to Coach Tension and staff, that physically at least they're matching up and they're not getting, you know, completely dismantled on the boards. But I'm sure part of that halftime speech had to do with pride, taking care of the basketball, playing hard, playing through this, and preparing for that long schedule ahead.
Brockman misses Ayer the rebound, and then he's fouled by Justin Dentman as he comes away. Justin Dentman is a young man who comes from the heartland, Carbondale, Illinois, which is the home to Southern Illinois University. Now, we talk about Washington with a 27-game home court winning streak. Gonzaga at 26. Third is SIU, which has made a habit of getting into the NCAA tournament recently. Saw him here a couple of years ago at Key Arena in Seattle. First round action in the NCAAs. Worthy bumps Dentman, can't finish. Rebound Brockman. Roy in transition, looking for Williams. Kind of take the long way around. Williams gets it back, then gives it up.
2-on-1 fast break.
Worthy scores. Jones came pretty close to blocking that.
And that was very nicely done. Again, turning defense into offense. And Loyola Marymount, in order to gain some confidence and really take something away from this ball game, it's got to have defensive trips down the floor just like that, where they defend the ball, they give up one shot, or they deflect and get a steal, they get in transition, and they make plays.
Jones misses the shot, but he created that opportunity by hustling off the glass. Williams tips. Miller now outside. Three-pointer won't fall for Waldrop. Knight can't handle the rebound. It goes back. Tipped off of Washington. Loyola Marymount's ball.
You like the fact that the ball changed sides. Wes Waldrop, who's Loyola Marymount's best three-point shooter, was in rhythm. The shot didn't come up as a surprise, so even though he missed it, it gave Knight and the rest of the offensive rebounders an opportunity to make a play.
Miller catches, shoots, and scores. Adoya Miller now with 7 points to lead Loyola Marymount. At the other end, Jamal Williams penetrates and scores. And dribble penetration was something that bothered tension in the loss at home the other night to Montana. Washington has done it here in any manner, but transition off turnovers has been the biggest thing.
Yeah, that has. And Matthew Knight that time was guilty of trying to steal a post feed. You have to be 99.9% sure, because if you gamble on that pass and you miss it, you give that offensive player a one bounce, a layup to the basket.
Wardrow scores. 3 of 8 shooting now. Loyola Marymount 46% from the floor. Appleby prepares to check back in, and that's not good news for the Lions. He replaces Brandon Roy.
Brandon Roy is acting as if he got hit either in the chin or in the throat. He's having some difficulty, and I believe that's why Coach Romar chose to take him out.
Jones goes to the rack. Brockman is fouled as he takes the ball away from a couple of Lions defenders, and John Brockman will shoot a pair of free throws. Take a look at Brandon Roy on the Washington bench. He's putting a little, kind of holding that water bottle up there to kind of need to get him some ice.
Get him something.
He was talking. That's a good sign. Huskies perfect on Charity, 13 of 13. of 14. Worthy pushing. Knight is poked as he attempts to control the rebound. He's under the basket at the other end of the floor as Ventman scores. Got whacked in the nose, did Matthew Knight.
And he's holding that nose as if he really got popped. And if you've ever been hit on the tip of your nose, the first thing that happens is you get that sting, and then the next thing your eyes water.
Let's take a look.
He goes up right there.
Yeah, Brockman
comes down.
And that's one reason, by the way, that John Brockman wears a face mask, because he was mixing it up in practice a few weeks ago and got his nose broken.
Brockman's had that nose broken 4 times, and at practice yesterday, I thought it was interesting. He came out and he didn't wear that face mask, and so when we asked him today, John, why didn't you wear your face mask yesterday? Is it something you're going to stop playing with? He said, oh, absolutely not. But it got lost in the wash, and they couldn't find it.
And those things are custom. Now Williams intercepts the pass intended for Brown, but can't control. Loyola Marymount with 24 seconds to shoot. Holding foul on Appleby.
Appleby anticipating getting over that screen, and Miller did a nice job of running him into the screen.
And underneath, Dyer. No shot. Now, as you might expect, after, and the foul is on Brockman, his third. As you would expect after such a lopsided and, for Washington, energetic first half, the pace and the energy have really dropped, and I think Brockman's going to be called for his 4th in a hurry, and yes, he is. Let's take a look.
Well, Brockman's taking away middle right there. You know, that's probably half and half. It's half Brockman making contact, and then Miller really doing a nice job of accepting the contact and flopping a little bit to draw attention to the contact.
Hans Gasser back in the game to replace Brockman. Miller is off. Williams the rebound. Washington, 10 guys have played, 9 of them have scored. Now, Wardrop blocks the shot, now the scramble. Williams comes up with it again, and when it's your day, it's your day.
You could just see the offensive rebounding coming in layers. It was one after another after another. Washington really never giving up on the opportunity to get an offensive rebound, and you could sense that Loyola Marymount was leaking out in anticipation of trying to get a fast break and maybe an easy shot opportunity.
Dustin Brown scores now underneath. Jones working on Brown, has the shot blocked. Appleby for 3. You can count that one as well. Ryan Appleby is 4 out of 6 beyond the arc.
And there's probably nothing more demoralizing to your defense to do a nice job against dribble penetration, have the ball kicked out to a wide open shooter for a 3.
Jones takes it to the rack. Brandon Worthy is called for the personal, and Jones with 9 points has a chance to crack double digits.
You know, you watch Bobby Jones and his demeanor on defense and the ease at which he plays and the confidence on offense. And again, you like to draw comparisons to players that have played in the past. And I told Coach Romar yesterday that he reminds me of Bobby Dandridge, who played, you know, for the Milwaukee Bucks. But that quiet confidence, the ability to do so many things at both ends of the floor.
Mentioned earlier that Jones was Lorenzo Romar's first recruit here after Romar came from St. Louis University. Same hometown, Compton, California. Jones actually played at Dominguez High School, graduated from Long Beach Poly, but played at Dominguez High School with Tyson Chandler of the Chicago Bulls. Williams is called for the foul there. Yeah, it's funny, Compton, Brandon Roy has recovered. Compton is one of those towns where there's an old joke by Bill Cosby where you're going to grow up to be a killer or a priest. There's a fair amount of gang activity in Compton and athletics for guys like Bobby Jones and for Lorenzo Romar a little bit before him, although times changed and the town got tougher. Bobby Jones took that road out, took athletics as the ticket out to something better.
He really did. I played at UCLA with a gentleman named Larry Hollifield, who was from Compton, and certainly brought an element of toughness as Appleby shoots that thing from the parking lot.
That's a career high. 5 3-pointers, 15 points for Appleby at the other end. Jones will not get credit for the block. Foul called before, and Jones is called for it. Ryan Appleby, the thought was he'd come here and challenge Justin Dentman for time at point guard. Ryan Appleby is really helping himself big time today with 5 3-pointers. Former Husky quarterback Warren Moon announced this week as a semi-finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's in the house watching Lorenzo Romar's guys put a serious licking on Loyola Marymount. Now, Ryan Appleby, we talked about his potential to be the starter at point. If you're Lorenzo Romar, how do you balance that? Dentman can, obviously, the freshman can operate the offense. Does Appleby, because of his 3-point shooting, give you a better option bringing him off the bench?
Well, you know, very similar, you know, situation to last year with Nate Robinson, where, you know, you can play him at point, you can play him at the off guard, and certainly at point guard, especially if you're seeing a lot of pressure in the game, you can wear your shooter out if he just happens to be your point guard. With all the other options that Washington has, they can play Appleby at both the point and the 2.
Unselfish play by Gasser, receives the bullet pass and makes the pass inside to Wallace. Wardrop misses. LMU is 2 of 11 beyond the arc. Jones penetrates, the ball knocked out to Wallace. Now Roy stumbles. Zeri to Worthy. The reverse, the follow won't fall for Zeri. And when it's not your day, it's not your day.
Yeah, and that was good execution and certainly a play that Loyola will make in the future. But you got to, again, appreciate the defense. They create the turnover off Brandon Roy. They get in transition. They make the extra pass, and they get 2 pretty decent looks at the basket.
Jones is called for the carry. Washington's 9th turnover of the afternoon. He takes a seat. He scored 11 points. Appleby, game high 15. Take a look at Washington's season numbers. They put 118 on Morgan State. The school record for points in a game at Washington is 130. Zuri. Little rainmaker. Wallace and Gasser with the rebound for Washington. Ball will stay at this end of the floor.
Yeah, Wardrop, he did a nice job that time defensively trying to keep Roy from dribble penetrating. Got a little aggressive. You know, and again, when you pressure the ball, you'd rather see a player be aggressive on the ball than non-aggressive.
Take a look at the frustration Chris Eyre demonstrating as he heads to the Lions bench. Can't say I blame him.
Well, you know, Chris Eyre is a senior and he's a very vocal player. In practice yesterday, Coach Calvin Bird and Chris Eyre got into a little tough love session, and they really want Eyre to step up and to assume more of a role of a leader. You know, he's your big guy. Tell those younger, smaller guys where you want to position them. Get them getting their knees bent on defense. Tell them you're going to anchor the defense in the back, and you know they want him to be more assertive.
Gasser on the wing, guarded by Haywood. Back out to Joel Smith. Roy explored every inch of the cylinder before the ball pops out. Brown. They've missed a lot of bunnies. Brown misses 2 in that sequence.
And what can you say about their offensive execution? They run their early offense. They get the ball to Dustin Brown, who was a very good finisher around the basket.
Smith to Roy. Kaboom.
You miss a bunny and they come right back down the floor and score. Sometimes it's your day, sometimes it's not. But certainly those are shots that Loyola's got to concentrate and make.
Odd man break. Roy with the finish from Denton. Washington had numbers 3 on 2. Washington has outscored Loyola Marymount 21-6. Brandon Roy with 17 points to lead all scorers.
You know, it's one thing to create scoring opportunities, and more importantly, the most important thing is to finish as Wardrop hits that 3. And again, there's so many teaching points. There are going to be some very difficult teaching points that Rodney Tension is going to be able to sit down with his team and watch this film and show plays like the last 2 transitional plays where they ran their offense, they got great looks, and they just didn't finish.
Denton called for the carry. Take a look at what Brandon Roy has been doing here. Nice finish off the feed from Denton.
That's a part of that trust when you know if you move, make yourself available, your teammates will find you. Roy moving to the basket, getting the lob, and then spotting up, getting his feet set. He's in rhythm. Very good shooter from distance when he's relaxed and he's shooting in rhythm like that.
Justin Denton has 7 assists. And helps take the ball away. Artem Wallace comes up with it. Now 23 turnovers. Williams spins and misses everything. Knight the rebound. He has 8.
You know, Brian, you would expect a lot of assists coming from a team that's in transition a lot when you are running your numerical break 3-on-2, 2-on-1. And an example of that is making the extra pass and always finding the open man.
Montgomery drains the 3, but they're forced into that because Washington again jumps Knight with the double team. He can't do anything without getting 2 guys in his face.
And that was a strategy that a lot of teams employed last year of double teaming Knight. He's a very good passer and he's very unselfish. And with that double team, if he will pass out of it or try and quick it where he can beat it off the dribble, he can make a lot of teams pay by being unselfish with the basketball.
Denton kicks that ball away to Montgomery. Haywood in transition. And another missed layup. Knight scores and will go to the free throw line. Huskies all over the Lions as we head to the middle stages of the second half at the Bank of America Arena in Seattle. Ryan Appleby got caught in a switch, went from Stanwood, Washington to the University of Florida, but then Billy Donovan change things up from a transition run and gun offense to more of a half-court game. Appleby the odd man out, but Larry, not today.
Well, you know, he's got the long-range ability, and he's so comfortable out there and relaxed, and he's got perfect shooter's form. You know, he gets his knees bent, he gets that elbow pointing toward the floor, and when he's in rhythm like that and he gets his confidence up, you know, he can put together 4, 5, or 6 of those three-point shots in a row.
Knight unable to finish the three-point play. Appleby pressured by John Montgomery, junior out of Menlo Park, California. Artem Wallace. Smith having a little trouble hanging on to it, pressured by Ziri. A lot of time, though, to shoot.
Well, the shot clock's down to 10, and that was really a good effort by Ziri.
Appleby, why not? Rebound Williams. Wallace chases it down, dishes it back to Appleby. Good hustle by Washington. 22nd timeout is called by Lorenzo Romar. I think he wants his guys to settle down just a little bit.
Continue to do what we're doing, but share the basketball. Let's not take that first errant shot.
Huskies basketball have a 37-point lead on the Lions. Brian Davis and Larry Farmer in Seattle, Washington, with a huge lead on Loyola Marymount. Artem Wallace, the freshman out of Toledo, Washington. People talk about Brockman's work ethic in the paint. How about the freshman, the other freshman, Wallace?
Well, Wallace was the first to commit in this freshman class, but he's got a certain rawness about him, but he's got a great knack of assuming shots are missed and putting himself in a position to make powerful plays around the basket.
Wallace originally from St. Petersburg, Russia. Appleby looking inside and is fouled by Ziri on the scramble for the loose ball. Good hustle play by Ryan Appleby. Artem Wallace came to the United States for the first time about the time he was getting ready to start high school. He was the guest of a businessman named Gail Wallace, who had met Artem's mother in St. Petersburg. As it turned out, Elena, Artem's mother, developed cancer. And as she was dying, arranged with Gail Wallace to bring him to the United States for what was originally supposed to be kind of a tryout. Well, Artem, after losing his mother, decided that he liked Gail Wallace an awful lot and that he wanted to stay here in the United States. Wound up moving to Toledo with Wallace and his family, and things have worked out very, very nicely for him after a tragic stretch there as a young teenager.
And it certainly appears that Wallace is going to take advantage of what's turned out to be a terrific opportunity for himself. He's got a great attitude. He works really hard. He listens, and you can see that, you know, he's one of those players where he feels it's a privilege to be in college in the United States, and it's a privilege to have, you know, such loving and caring support around him.
Knight called for the foul, putting Jones to the line. Huskies 17 of 17. Good day at the free throw line. Jones right at his season average now as he converts both free throws. He's got 13.
Washington has spread their offense out, and like last year, they've got 4 players that are averaging in double figures, and then the next 2 are at 8. So they do a nice job of spreading their offense. They get players taking shots where they're capable and experienced in making, and their offense generates outside shots for outside shooters. And unlike last year's basketball team, which was a terrific perimeter team, this version of the Washington Huskies has a lot more inside options, you know, by which they can take advantage of.
Continue to extend the defense, and Haywood does well to score inside. Ziri trying to take the ball away from Appleby. Wallace maybe just a little bit lazy on that entry pass. Washington ball.
And you see Coach Tension and his staff when Rodney Tension was an assistant coach at the University of Arizona under Lute Olson. One of his scouting responsibilities was always the Washington Huskies. And at practice on Thanksgiving Day, when Lorenzo Romar came out on the court, Coach Tension walked over and gave him a hug and kind of laughingly said, you know, I thought I was finished seeing you when I went after a head coaching job. I didn't realize I was going to come right back into the Lions' den.
Montgomery from Knight is short. Ziri to Knight. Great hustle play by John Ziri, the sophomore out of Tempe, Arizona. Knight pays it off.
You know, Ziri hurt his knee early on in the season, colliding with a teammate in a 5-on-0 drill. And you could see he's really come in, and with his hustle and his effort, he's really provided a spark here. And that's something I'm sure that this team can build on. Ziri coming off that bench, and with his defense in his hands, has created some problems for Washington in the backcourt.
I was just about to suggest that somebody needed to get a stick and kill that thing. Wallace comes up with it, and he'll go to the free throw line for 2. Knight with his 3rd personal foul. Wallace is 5 of 10 from the free throw line. And see, now this is the kind of thing that a freshman needs to come and work on certain things, and free throw shooting is clearly one of those things for Arden Wallace. Brockman back on the floor. He'll play with 4 fouls. That's the Huskies' 1st and 2nd missed free throws of the day. Jones is blocked by Haywood. Huskies hang on to the basketball.
And this will be a good test in the early career of John Brockman, the ability to play under duress with 4 fouls. You've got to play a lot smarter. You've got to get those hands away from the defender. You got to know when to lean on him and lean off.
Well, how about that for playing strong?
Well, I was talking about the defensive end. He's very comfortable at that offensive end.
And 1 for Brockman.
And what he does, he steps in on that out-of-bounds play, and again, that's the experience of a freshman, truly wiser than his years, when you can anticipate where that pass is going to be made and establish a good post position before the ball is actually thrown in. You really give yourself an opportunity by working without the basketball at a higher percentage shot. And again, that's that high basketball IQ that Brockman brings to the table.
John Brockman came into the ball game as the Huskies' leading rebounder, which is saying something. A freshman leading you off the glass. He's got 5 today, 8.5 by average through the first 5 games. Washington defense forcing the Lions outside. Pegram stepped on the line. 24 turnovers now for Loyola Marymount. They committed 22 in the first half.
You can tell from, again, some of the errors, and Marymount has done a better job, Loyola Marymount, of taking care of the ball the second half. But players getting used to playing with players in a new system, understanding responsibilities, finishing cuts, coming hard to the ball, setting and finishing screens. When you run that motion offense, there are a lot of responsibilities, although you have a lot of freedom to still execute and make good screens to get players open. So easy passes are a lot easier to make.
Brandon Roy with 19 points as he goes to the bench to talk it over with assistant coach Lorenzo Romar. Now from college to the NBA game. Tomorrow catch the Sonics on FSN. The Hornets come to Seattle to face Ray Allen and the rest of the Supes. Catch all the action tomorrow starting with FSN Live at noon right here on FSN. Huskies scored 118 points against Morgan State with 8 minutes and change remaining in this ball game against Loyola Marymount. Washington with 95 points. Brockman working on the European derech. Actually from Australian, but of European descent. Waldrop actually had the shot. I think Hans Gasser may have tipped that. Timeout taken. Washington with a walk in the park. Well, it would be a walk in the park if it were a nicer day. Huskies by 40 in Seattle. John Ziri to the free throw line for a pair. Take a look at Brian Preby, who is one of Rodney Tension's assistants. Brian went to the University of Washington out of Cascade High School in Everett. Spent a couple of years working as an assistant, a student assistant with Bob Bender. Went on to coach at Eastern Washington and then accompanied Steve Eggers to Los Angeles to Loyola Marymount. Well, last night, Brian Preby's family hosted the entire LMU team at the family home in Snohomish for Thanksgiving dinner. Very nice gesture.
It really was, and as soon as practice ended, you would not believe the Loyola Marymount players. They were so excited to have a good home-cooked meal, what they anticipated to be a feast on the road. And it does so much for your team chemistry. And so does that.
Appleby with 6 3-point goals. He has 18 points. He's having himself quite the day.
You know, Appleby, after that experience at Florida, was quoted in the paper as saying, you know, I really don't care about starting. I just want an opportunity to play and help the Washington Huskies win. And with that attitude, he provides that instant offense off the bench. He's somebody you got to guard.
Oh, Williams can't quite finish that. Zane Potter. A walk on. And a collision down the floor. Told you that Romar was emptying his bench. Players, fans love to see guys like Potter come on the floor. Let's take a look here.
Appleby really feeling his oats. He better hope that Coach Romar just took him out, but he better hope that Coach Romar doesn't see that play when he goes home and dissects the film of the game later tonight.
Wow. Now he comes out with 6 3-pointers, one shy of the single-game school record here at Washington.
I think that's in jeopardy. Just watching with the ease in which Appleby operates in this offense and the confidence that his teammates here at Washington have in finding him and locating him on the perimeter. He's going to have many opportunities because of the inside pressure and the penetration abilities of a Brandon Roy to get open and really take advantage of this great outside shooting.
Miller beats the shot clock. But Loyola Marymount continues to struggle from beyond the arc. It's been most of this afternoon now that they've had really no choice but to jack up the long ball. Ziri, with the free throw earlier, became the last man to score. Tension's played 11 guys. All 11 have scored for Loyola Marymount.
And I like what Ziri did in this ball game. Again, you know, you come in and the score is lopsided, but he did a lot of hustle plays, a lot of energy plays that don't show up necessarily in the stat sheet. But as a coach, you got to like the lift that he gave your defense. And I'm sure there'll be some opportunities down the road here where Ziri, as a sophomore, can really contribute to Loyola Marymount effort.
Williams playing with 4 fouls called there for traveling. Back to Washington's schedule. With this team, a lot of young guys. A lot of coaches will say, look, I need to give my team a chance to succeed. +1 play for Jamal Williams. I need to give my guys a chance to succeed. And the way that this team is made up right now with a lot of freshmen on the squad, that argument would seem to hold water if Lorenzo Romar were to make it.
Yeah, and you'll see whether or not that was a great decision about midway through the Pac-10 when a lot of the experience that these young kids are now gaining because of the strength of the schedule, when they're asked or called upon to come into some of those games when the score is tight, and they've got that experience where that's not their first time on the basketball floor as a collegian. You know, this schedule certainly would not have been a good schedule for last year's team because of the great depth and experience that team had. But, you know, you bring in these young players and you've recruited them and you know, you've talked about them working their way and earning minutes, but anytime you can give them an opportunity to play, you know, that's certainly going to make them a lot happier, make their parents a lot happier, their high school coach a lot happier. But midway through the Pac-10, you'll really reap the benefits of having given those young guys who are going to be called upon to play experience.
Potter giving Chris Connie all he can handle. Tension has emptied his bench as well. Montgomery throws the ball away. Gasser. Williams has a new season high, 17 points.
Jamal Williams with a terrific open court decision, realizing that he not only had size but strength over Montgomery. And again, instead of pulling up and taking what would have been an open, easy outside shot, just took it right to the rack. And those are the kind of transition efforts Jamal Williams is certainly capable of making.
Take a look at the scoring leaders, and we talked about all those guys scoring for the Lions, but Waldrop is their leading guy with 13. Williams with the double-double, 10 rebounds. Check that, 11 to go with his 17 points. Entertaining day here on FSN. Arizona State wins a thriller against Arizona on the football field. Washington thrills its fans with a strong first half, and the UW women play volleyball tonight against Washington State.
That'll give you something to do when you go in the refrigerator and take out that cold turkey from yesterday's dinner.
Zane Powers got it. Thrills the crowd. That three-point shot ties his season and career high.
He is now 2 for 2, 100% from behind the arc. He's going to start asking Coach Romar for more playing time and more shots. You could just feel the buzz in here when Zane Potter stepped on the floor. The crowd was going nuts, and every time he touched the ball, they were pleading with him to shoot it.
Potter gets 4 minutes a game, this senior out of Boring, Oregon. Reason to smile. Vitor Bacardo at the free throw line. Here it is.
Boy, he ran that route like he was an experienced shooter. The other 4 players on the floor were just aware that he was going to get that shot, and they made preparation for him to get it.
That was his world. They were just living in it.
Just living in it.
All right. Washington with a 112-65 victory over Loyola Marymount. The Huskies now get a lot of time off before they bring Gonzaga into the house. And all due respect to Loyola Marymount, that next game will be a major step up in class for Lorenzo Romar.
It really will, and this is the kind of game, if you're Lorenzo Romar, you want to get it under your belt. You know, it was another ball game, another step toward your preparation, getting those young kids experience, getting Brandon Roy out there where he could assume his role as a leader, directing traffic. Appleby certainly showing his attributes and shooting that three-point shot. So a lot of things happen, but now you've got that time to really prepare, put in some more offense, some more defense, and get ready for Gonzaga.
Washington now 6-0 on the season. The nation's longest home court winning streak stands at 28. Now be sure to catch the Huskies back in action next Sunday at 7:30 as they host rival Gonzaga. Stay tuned now. UW Hoops preview is up next for Larry Farmer. I'm Brian Davis. Once again, the final, Washington defeats Loyola Marymount 112-65. We bid you so long from Bank of America Arena in Seattle.